And today we're going to be going over Buyside as a tool for you, not only to help you capture both sides of the transaction from the buyers as well as seller side, but it's also to help you leverage this tool to be able to answer the inevitable question that you all get asked as agents of how is the market? Most people most people expect this to be a one-word answer. It's either good or it's bad. But as real estate agents, you all know that it's a multi-layered question. Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? What area are they looking in? Because real estate has been booming, but it's not in every single area. So I'll go ahead and show you today a couple of different topics. But before we get started, there are a couple of resources that you should be aware of. The first one's going to be our Buyside Insiders Facebook group, and you can find that at www.buysideinsiders.com. This is a Facebook group that consists of current members that have shared tips and tricks that they've found in the past that have worked for them and have found success. Also, you can go on there to ask some questions about troubleshooting tips as well. The second resource that we have is going to be our help desk. So you can find that at support.getbuyside.com. This is going to be very similar to a Google search engine. So this is going to be, if you go to this page, you can go ahead and type in your question, anything related to Buyside, and it'll pull up the most relevant articles, PDFs, as well as short webinars and quick tip tricks as well. And lastly, if you are experiencing some troubleshooting issues, we do have a world-class support team where you can email support@getbuyside.com, which automatically opens a ticket and you can chat with a live agent that way as well. So for today, we're going to be going over a few different topics, how to enter buyer information and why that's important. We all know from the last year that buyer demand is through the roof, and listening to some real estate economists, things aren't going to change a whole lot this year for buyers either. The only thing that's really changing this year from what they predict is that homes will be sitting on the market for just a little bit longer. So we're actually going from pedal to the metal from last year all the way down to a little bit of a cruise control this year too. But for the most part, it doesn't look like the market is really slated to change a whole lot. The second thing that we'll be talking about is your home valuation site. What do consumers see on your home valuation site, and what kind of information do they get? Also, how are the various ways to contact you as an agent if they have any questions? Next, we'll be talking about the buyer market analysis, or what we like to call it as the BMA. So once you get that listing appointment, how you can effectively use the information that they've seen to print out into a great little consolidated PDF or a listing tool, or a presentation tool rather, and to use that to win the listing presentation. And then once you get that listing presentation, how to enter a coming soon listing to market it and generate interest within your brokerage. And then we'll go ahead and leave the last few minutes of this webinar for some Q&A. So let's get started. So first of all, how do you get to your dashboard? So what you're going to do through your intranet is going to be this little tile here. So it's going to be Buyside in this little tech stack. You'll find that in the second row in the middle, right underneath the BHHS resource tile. And you're going to go ahead and click on that. And once you're logged in through the single sign-on, you'll come to a page like this. So this is going to be your dashboard here. And you'll see that there's a couple of different sections, your My Buyers, My Listings, and there's a couple of ways to add a buyer. Again, going into buyer demand and the importance of having a buyer, and we'll kind of see how that all wraps up here at the end. But there's two ways that you can add in a buyer. So you can do it right here from the top right-hand side here where it says Add Buyer. One thing to note is that when you are in this section, this will not show all of your buyers. If you had 30 or 35 to 40 buyers, let's say, this would just dominate this page. And so what you can do is you can click on See All My Buyers here, or on the toolbar at the top here, you can go ahead and click on My Buyers and it'll take you to your My Buyers screen. So from there, you'll be able to see a list of all the buyers here, their name, their buyer ID, as well as their star rating, which we'll go over here in just a minute when we add the buyer as well, because those stars actually do mean something as well. Now, you can also search for a name, search for a buyer by name or by the criteria that they're looking for as well, from minimum to maximum price. And you can search and it'll actually filter all the buyers down to just the criteria that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and add a buyer here. I'm going to click on Add Buyer. And the first page that you'll see that comes up is just a lot of different information that you may or may not be familiar with. And so the first couple of items here are going to be locations. So choosing locations that the buyer is interested in buying. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a school district, Capistrano Unified School District in California. The zip code is going to be 92656. And you'll see that as you start to type things in, that there will be some auto-population through a drop-down menu. And as you go further and further, you'll notice that there are a couple of different types of verbiage here. So this one's going to be bolded with an asterisk, while the others are going to be just plain text. Now, the reason why these are bolded and asterisks is because those are going to be mandatory fields. And so this will not allow you to create a buyer profile without at least the mandatory fields filled out. Everything else is going to be optional. But again, the more information you put in, the more accurate the buyer data is, and the more information potential listing agents can see your buyer information. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and put in that this buyer is looking for a 4-bed. Let's go ahead and put a 3-bath house. Minimum square footage, age of home, and desired lot size. Not too worried about that. Number of floors and garage and parking. Minimum 2-car garage. Let's go minimum floor. Let's go at least 2 floors. As you can see, that those were all non-mandatory fields. Those are just preferences. So the next mandatory field that shows up is going to be the property type. This buyer is interested in a single family detached, and you can actually click in multiple different types of property types here. So they're also interested in a townhouse and maybe a condo as well. As far as the property condition, you can go anything. Everyone wants a turnkey property, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. My buyer is also looking for a fixer-upper and a little bit of TLC because they're an investor. They're looking for investment properties as well. House style, not too concerned with that. And then the public comments. This is where you're going to be wanting to put in some descriptions of your buyers, what they're looking for, what they want or don't want. Again, the more information you put in, the faster things can start to filter through, and listing agents, or even you as a buyer agent, can really quickly filter through and quickly find these. Just for these these purposes here, I'm going to go ahead and put in great buyer, desperate to buy. And then there's one more area that you can click, show must likes and dislikes, where you can go very in depth. The first time I ever actually met with a realtor when I bought my home here is that he actually went through this, and I hadn't seen this part of the of his agenda here, but he actually went through all of these over the phone with me, and I didn't know that it was just kind of a check the box kind of thing, but it's a great way to really start to hone in what your buyer is looking for. So again, you can have like a basement, a fireplace is a must, a swimming pool must, because this house, I'm looking in California here, laundry room, yeah, I must have that. And you can kind of go down and really kind of filter through those, but I'm going to go ahead and leave those at non-applicable. And you don't have to fill this part out. Now, the most important part here are going to be the financials and the buyer details. So the qualification status, are they pre-qualified? Are they a cash buyer? Do they not have qualification yet? I'm going to go ahead and put this as a cash buyer, and then the minimum and maximum price range. So this is going to start to filter out this buyer depending on what their price range is. So in this case, I'm going to go from, let's go from 1 million to 1.49. All right, so then going available down payment, again, those are optional here, but a purchase by date, this buyer is looking to get into a house relatively quickly, so I'm going to go ahead and put in just a couple weeks out on February 12th. And this is a first-time home buyer as well as an investor. So again, very similar to above, you can click on multiple different types of options here. And then also the method of payment and what kind of financing that they have here as well. Now, at the very end, the buyer details. This is going to be very important because this is, as the buyer's agent, you're the only one that can see this buyer information here. So when this filters out from either a listing agent or anyone else, you'll see, and I'll show you here in just a minute, that it populates a buyer ID and everything is kept anonymous. Again, you are the only person as the buyer agent that can see this information. We don't want anyone else to be able to contact them directly. Here you can have them send alerts when a coming soon listing is added that matches the buyer's criteria. So you can actually have them not to alert anyone if you want to do it yourself. It can alert you as the agent or the client, and then to CC you as the agent as well. So you can have these three options. And then you can go ahead and put in the buyer information. So I'm going to go ahead and put in Tommy Buyer. And let's go ahead and put in
this
their email
is
and their primary phone number.
Realty. For a faster response, please try texting me, or you may leave a message and I will get back with you as soon as possible.
Looks like someone, if we can all please mute, please. Thank you very much. Let's see here. So then you can go ahead and click on contact details. You can add in some more. Oops, maybe I don't think I'm sharing my screen anymore. There we go. And so you can go ahead and add in a couple more details here. But again, you're the only person that can see this information here. So we're going to go ahead and click on add buyer. And of course, it kicked me out. I do apologize. Give me one moment. My apologies. All right, my apologies there. Having some technical issues, but once you add a buyer and you have all that information there, you'll see that you'll have a buyer information that populates here. This is actually a previous example that I did use. It's not the one that I just put in. However, there will be a profile that builds up here. Now, again, going back, it'll show all their target price, their qualification status, and all the information that we put in, and then their buyer strength. So we put in all their buyer information, and it comes up with the 4-star system. And if you look to the right, it'll actually show you what those 4 stars indicate. So it's going to indicate the purchase by date that they have one, that they're ready to buy, a pre-qualification status if they have one, as well as that they are represented by an agent. Now, if you go to your dashboard and you see some buyer information or buyer profiles that only have 1, 2, or less than 4 stars, those are going to be buyers that are imported from various places. It does vary by brokerage. And this can include your CRM, safe searches on your website, safe properties, things like that. And what you want to be able to do is once you start to see those 1 to 2 to 3, maybe even 3-star buyers, you're going to want to go ahead and edit the profile. And the reason I say that is because when you have coming soon listings that are that match the buyer profile, it'll kick all the 4-star buyers all the way to the top of the list. Those 1 or 2-star buyers will still be in that list, but they will be buried a little bit towards the bottom. They will be also in your My Buyer section. However, you are able to edit the profile and just go ahead and enter those details just like we did as well. Now, moving on to your home valuation site. So now that you have a buyer, you're starting to look, you want to start to market out your home valuation site because you want to entice a sale of a property. So once you're in your dashboard here, you're going to want to go to home valuation site and then go to marketing suite. This will give you a page here where it says preview my site. If you have not gone before, I highly recommend going through this step by step as we go along. But you're going to want to click on this giant middle box here. So it's going to be preview my site. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And this is going to be a site that is branded to you. So it's going to have your face, your name, as well as your phone number here, and a what is your home worth call to action, essentially. So what people will be able to do once they get to this page, we'll go over to marketing actually in next week's webinar, is all they have to do is start to type in an address. And you'll realize once you start to type in an address, it actually starts to auto-populate something. So you don't have to fill in an entire address there for you. So all you have to do is click. And what it'll do is it'll start to load up a page and create this market report based on a lot of data that we have. And this is going to be the page that they see. So it's going to be a market report for the address that you typed in, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and the square footage, your branded picture, as well as your name and phone number if someone wants to talk to you or have any questions, and the ability to receive monthly updates. So this is going to be sort of like a drip campaign. As real estate agents, you should know that you do not have to wait for the consumer to add this in. You as the agent can actually do this in conversation. So if someone's asking you, hey, how's the market? I'm not really looking to buy or sell right now, but I'm just really curious about the market. You can pull this up with their address and fill out their first and last name and their email address for them as well. And they'll start to get an email every single month with your picture and your name on it. And it'll always take them straight to this site. The second thing here that they'll see is going to be an estimated home value. Typically, there are three. The third one is going to be a Zillow estimate. Right now, Zillow is down, and we are not receiving a feed for them, so we are down to 2 at the moment. But the reason why we show them more than just Zillow, or even just more than one AVM or an automated valuation model, is because the only one that people typically know of is Zillow, and they treat it as gospel. I think it's every person's just biggest frustration is, hey, I thought my home was worth this much because Zillow said so. But what they don't know is that there are other AVMs out there, and these are computer generated models. So when they see this page, they're going to see, why is my home worth potentially 377,000 all the way up to 472 in this example? Why is there a $100,000 variance? And they're going to have some questions, and that's why we do this. Right underneath that, we actually give them an opportunity to contact you as the agent, and all they have to do is fill out this simple form capture. All they have to fill out is a couple of different things: their first and last name, email, phone number, and then it gives them an option of saying, "I'm a buyer, I'm a seller, a buyer and a seller, or a broker agent." And as soon as they click on this, it goes right to you, and you get an email stating that you have a new lead or a new type of inquiry for you. Down below that is what is the condition of the property. So anything that requires any type of change to the property. So actually, I'm going to go right up above here where they saw the bedroom and bathroom count as well as the square footage. Everyone knows that last year was a very, very big year for home renovations. Maybe I added maybe I added a half bath. Maybe I added a full bedroom. But if you're going to be changing anything as far as the criteria of the home goes, all we ask is that we verify the ownership. Notice how everything up to this point, it was very uninvasive. It wasn't a forced registration. But if you're going to be changing any type of the criteria of the home, we ask that you are the ownership, or that you are the owner. And that goes the same with the condition of the property here. We purposely put it on needs work. Everyone thinks that their house is in excellent condition. So again, if they're going to be changing anything, all we ask is that you verify that you are the owner. The next thing that they're going to see on the page is going to be a buyer heat map. So this is very similar to a weather map. So the darker the color, the more active the area. The lighter the color, the less active the area. And they're going to be able to see which areas are doing really, really well, which ones aren't as hot. Again, this kind of comes out to how to answer, how is the market? And I'll kind of coach you through on how to talk through that in the listing presentation. Down below that, it breaks the buyer activity down by price range as well as by bedroom and who's searching for what. And then a funnel that also depicts buyer activities. So buyer activity being anything that the buyer is doing. So anything that's registered buyers, saved searches, saved properties, open house signs, showing visits. Starts off all the way at the top at the state level, and then drills all the way down to within a 5-mile radius within the home's price range, looking for a 5-bedroom. So very similar to the criteria, identical to the criteria of the home that was just searched for. Now, the next thing that they're going to be able to see is going to be the featured buyers. Again, this is why the entering buyers is very important. They're going to be able to see, hey, there's 11 buyers in the in-town realty right now that match the criteria of my home if I were to sell it right now, between 377 and 472. I really want to know who these buyers are. And again, we keep all those buyers' identifications hidden and anonymous for these purposes. But if they want to talk to you and they want to see what the buyers have to do with this property, all they have to do is contact you, and it'll actually show you right down below at the very end of the page another form capture that they have the ability to leave their information. The last 2 spots of this home valuation site that they will see is going to be supply side trends. Maybe they're getting some information. They haven't really been keeping in touch with the real estate market, but they're getting a lot of information from their neighborhood watch group or their mom and dad group or their sports league saying, hey, my home sold for this, this and that. And they're not really getting accurate information. This shows them the last 4 quarters of homes across the zip code that we search for, the median sold price, as well as the number of homes sold in the last 90 days. And then finally, the recent nearby sales within a 1.5-mile radius within the last 18 months. And this is to really to show them, because it's such a tight area of, hey, I know the person at 4437. I didn't know that they sold their house for $398,000 or even 4405, I know them too, but oh my gosh, they sold theirs for 450,000. So this is really going to start to conjure up some conversation as well as some questions. And again, 2 opportunities below, not only to contact you as the agent, but also to receive monthly updates on this property. Now that we know what the consumer sees, let's say, for instance, they leave their information, or you have some sort of drip campaign or a mail campaign going out, and they actually want to meet with you. Hey, you know what? I'm really interested in selling my home. I'd love to talk to you and meet with you as well. So what you can do is go up to your toolbar here and click on BMA. So this is going to be the buyer market analysis. So everyone's heard of the comparable market analysis, and the buyer market analysis bridges the gap between past comps as well as what is going on currently in the market today. So I've seen agents pull this up right out on their iPad in the driveway before their listing presentation. I've had them, I've also seen them print out this BMA, put it in a nice little binder along with all their other documents for their listing presentation. But all you have to do here is, under the buyer market analysis on your side, it's very similar to the consumer's consumer experience, is start to type in the address that you're looking for and presenting at. So when you have that, it's very similar. It'll have a drop-down menu. If you need some sort of tutorial, there's a 2-minute video right underneath this too that kind of walks you through this process as well. And once you click on it, it's going to give you, it's going to populate a page where you can just verify and edit the property details. Again, going back to, is it a 5-bed, 3-bath? Did they add in a half bath? You can go ahead and click on the drop-down menu and go ahead and click any adjustments that need to be made. Click on the next button. Now, this is going to be up to you whether or not you want to set those property estimates. So the property estimates that the consumer saw on that home valuation site, you also have the ability to enter those in and have it be a part of the presentation, or you can leave it off as well. And also, as far as a talking point goes, I would recommend leaving them on, just because you want to use that as the ammo. These are computer generated models. I'm physically in your home, and I can really nail down a more accurate number of where we can sell this home for. You can also include your own personal estimate and use that kind of as a talking point as well, as it will show up on the BMA report. I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank for now. And then the featured range of featured buyers. Again, you can use this as a sliding scale, and as you go more and more or less and less, it'll start to either narrow down the featured buyers, or it will go ahead and increase the number of featured buyers if you were to go up to a higher high or a lower low. After that, all you have to do is hit generate PDF, and you'll see that it'll take this to this page here, and it will go ahead and start generating this report. It does take about a minute or so, and in the interest of time, I do have one populated here already. So this is going to be the PDF that shows. It's a consolidated 6-page report that goes through everything that we just saw as far as talking points are concerned. So it has a great cover page here that's going to be branded to you with your picture, your name, as well as all of your contact information. The second page is going to be is a why list with Town Realty. Why should they use you as opposed to the other 2 or 3 agents that they're interviewing right now? And what makes you different here? And you'll see why that does make you different. The third page that shows up is going to be the real-time valuations. Mr. and Mrs. Home Seller, you saw that this is the range that you saw, 377 all the way to 472. But this is why I think your house should be priced at X dollar amount. Really kind of honing in on the fact that you are the expert, you are the consultant, not public data, not Zillow, and not any of these different AVMs. The fourth page is going to be the heat map, the one that they should have seen on your website here on the home valuation site. Again, another great talking point is, look, your home right now, as it stands right now, is going to be in a very, very active area. That's great. You're going to have, I can already assume that we're going to have some bidding wars here. We can price it a little bit higher. We can really use that equity that you have to have you purchase your next home. However, if this is going to be landing in a less active area, you can actually use that as an advantage here for you. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Home Seller, your house is located in an active area, but not as active as some of these surrounding areas, which is why I think we should strategically potentially place it at a lower price range with these values, because we don't want this house to sit on the market for 8 months in a seller's market. And you can really use this and utilize this because this is current data that we're pulling in for you. Down below that, it'll be the online activities within the last days, the online buyer activities, and so what they're doing. very similar to the ones that we captured here on the home valuation site, breaking that also down by the bedroom and the price range. And then finally, the knockout punch. Mr. and Mrs. Home Seller, here it is. I have 9 potential buyers in my brokerage right now that I don't have to do any type of external marketing for to get you this buyer information. What I can do is if you sign this listing agreement with me right now, I can go into my car and I can start reaching out to either the buyer agents here, or some of these actually might be your own buyers, and I can start the showings tomorrow if that works for you. And so that's going to be the strength of this buyer's market analysis of how to win the listing presentation. Now, going back, let's say, for instance, we've got the listing presentation. This is great. I'm going to go ahead and start to market this out. I'm going to start to reach out to the buyers. But first, what you want to do is maybe they're not really ready to list just yet. Maybe the photographer hasn't shown up and things are taking a little bit longer. What you want to be able to do is you want to be able to add in a coming soon listing. Now, coming soon listings are a great way to start generating interest within your brokerage. So this is different from a true coming soon listing where you have to be marketing it within 24 hours. Again, coming soon listing, think of this as a Monday sales meeting of, hey, I have this listing that's going to be going live on the MLS. I would love to get in touch with some of your buyers that are interested. This is really going to be an internalized tool that you have. So to enter a coming soon listing, it's going to be very similar to the buyer information that we entered in at the very beginning of this webinar here. And the first thing that you're going to have is going to be the street address of visibility. So is it going to be visible by all users, or should this be confidential, only seen by you? Maybe the homeowner doesn't want people coming into their house or coming by their house or driving. All you have to do is click on confidential, only seen by you, and it'll only give the area that it's in. And here is where you're going to be wanting to put in all the criteria of the home. So just like before, it'll be going, there'll be a drop-down menu that shows. And just like before, again, the ones that are bolded as well as an asterisk are going to be mandatory. The number of bedrooms is going to be 4 bedrooms. Number of bathrooms, I'm going to go down to 3 bath here. And this is a single family detached home. So again, just like you saw before in the buyer data here, you'll see a bunch of different criteria that will match with the buyer when it starts to match up the buyers as well for this property. So this is a single family detached. Age of home, I'm not too sure what it is. Approximate lot size, again, these are things that you can go ahead and fill in with your own details. And a listing description, just like before, the more information that you put, the better it is for people that are searching for the properties and able to filter out the criteria quickly and just keep moving on. So I'm going to go ahead and put in great house. Asking price, let's put this at 1.1. Seller broker commission, this varies by brokerage. I'm going to go ahead and just put 3. And then the last 2 places that are the most important is going to be when this goes live on the MLS. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that this is going to go live on the MLS on Monday. Maybe we're just waiting for the photographer to show up. They still have to clean up the house. We still have to stage it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in on the 17th, and the showings will start on, let's say, for instance, the 18th. And so that'll give you a little bit of time, again, to make sure that you can start marketing this internally and to get all the interest really kind of riled up. Offers reviewed on, you can go ahead and put that there as well. And then images, if you already do have your images, you can go ahead and add up to 20 by uploading here. And then you're going to go ahead and add the listing. Now, once the listing is added, but if there is no picture yet, you will see here in just a moment that it will default to a picture that is just a blue house. Under your My Active listing, the way to differentiate between an MLS live listing as to a coming soon listing is that coming soon listings will have this red bold here in the right below the listing itself. If it's live on the MLS, this will not be here, and this will actually have a link to the MLS live listing as well. And when you see the property that you have entered as the coming soon listing, you'll see that there's already 3 matching buyers. All you have to do is click on this listing here, and it'll show you all the buyers that match with this listing here. So the buyers that I have put in the past, they all match here as well. And just like I had said before, it not only has the 4-star rating, but it also has the buyer ID. If this was not my buyer, all I would see is the buyer ID here. And on the right-hand side, you can actually contact the buyer agents. So if these were all three from different agents, different buyers, you can actually go ahead and click on this box and go ahead and message, hey, I have a great listing that may work for your buyers. And all you have to do is send the email, and it'll send the email to the buyer's agents within your brokerage here as well. All right. So that was the whole tool of how to utilize this program, really to be able to capture both sides of the transaction, whether they're a buyer, whether they're a seller, how to start to get some interest by using your home valuation site. And at this point, what I'm going to do is put this up here. If you have any other questions, we do have the 3 resources that I had mentioned before. The first one going to be the Buyside Insiders Facebook group. We also have our support desk at support.getbuyside.com. And then finally, if you are having some troubleshooting issues, we have our world-class support team where you can email and chat with a live agent by emailing support@getbuyside.com as well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions and answers at this point. Does anybody have any questions? Is there any? Feel free to join them or chat. Put them in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, I can go ahead and help you out there as well.
Anybody have any questions for Dan? Unmute, type it in the chat. All right, I'm taking that no one has questions, Dan, so thank you very much for presenting to the group this morning. I appreciate your time, and if anybody has